Good afternoon. I kind of, I'm very unconventional with this, so y'all not gonna get a TED Talk, okay? Yeah, they say freak show, so you kind of know what it is. But what I ask is that I want the same kind of energy you give when you hollering at your friends. When you out representing your hood, you like, yo, we from, you don't say it looking down at your shoes. You don't say it soft. You know, so good afternoon. Good afternoon. I like to hear that energy coming back because I first want to applaud, and let's applaud you guys, okay? Now, I'm applauding you because you took the first step towards your future by being here. There are a lot of people who took the easy route by not participating. It's really easy not to get involved. You guys walking through this door and making this first step is a major look for where you want to go in life. I was always told by my bosses that you create the life that you want and the world that you dream of with every decision you make. And those decisions usually are told, don't do this, don't hang out with those people, don't commit this, don't do. It's a lot of don'ts, and those are important. But I'm going to concentrate on the do's, on the things that you should do. You should participate. You should join in. When they had the tying contest and they asked, hey, who wants to join? And all of y'all ran over there. My heart got full because I'm like, there's a lot of people who play the back. There are a lot of people who lean away. But if you lean in, you get a little bit more information. You get a little bit more strength. I was told by a mentor of mine who worked very closely with General Tommy Franks at CENTCOM, and his whole thing was readiness is strength. Now that's our top upper echelon of military. When they say readiness is strength, what does that mean? What does that mean? Be ready for anything. You guys have probably heard, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. If you play football, I know your coaches yelled that to you. If you play basketball, you've probably had somebody tell you that too in a huddle. But realistically, that readiness means that I'm prepared, I'm equipped, I'm set. I'm on the ready for anything that's gonna come my way. Now, my story is filled with a lot of things that you're either gonna face or have faced already. I started at Wild in 1998. I was 27 years old. Walked into a radio station from Tallahassee, doing internships and working for free as much as I could, because I always tell people that it's like a license to steal. An internship is, of course, free labor. It's not sexy. You do a lot of everybody else's work. But what you do is you get unfettered access to an education that you can't beat. I tell people all the time, I'm like, basically, if your who's important? Your mama, your daddy, your reverend, the judge, the police. Anybody else? Firefighters. They're important too. But for this example, I will say it's a holiday. It's called Backpack Day. All right? Brand new holiday. Y'all don't have it on your calendar, so don't look. It's Backpack Day. And everybody in your life that has authority over your life, mama and them, daddy, uncles, grandparents, have all said you can participate in this and not get in trouble. Take a backpack down to the bank. As much money as you can put in that backpack. As long as you can carry it, you can keep it. Would you do it? If everybody who co-signs your life said you would not get in trouble, and everybody who's in the law said, hey, this is legal, it's like the purge. We're allowing y'all to scoop as much money as you can. We know it don't sound right. It's not a trap. Would you do it? It's the same thing that an internship is. It's a license to steal. We have a $13 million radio station, and they handed the keys to me. Why? Because I was an intern. I was able to go in there and push buttons, ask questions. I was able to be in the room. The best thing you could do is get in the room. Because the greatness happens in the room. The people who are outside, too cool to come inside, they're outside. I got in a room where I didn't have the suits that they had. I didn't have the experience that they had. I had a much different experience, but I was brought here because I was killing it in college, actually. I was killing it. But when they created this radio station, they needed people who were in college and who were young enough to lead this young-ended radio station. And someone who I did that internship for in Tallahassee was in the room. and said, I know a kid in Tallahassee, we need to bring him. I came down, and then I ended up in the room in a baseball cap, fresh kicks, and jeans. I was very Russell Simmons with it. If you know who Russell Simmons is, that was one of the people who I patterned my life behind, because I'm like, I don't want to compromise who I am, but I want to represent my culture as well. But I also want to be affluent like this man who was handling not just Run DMC and not just LL Cool J, but he was in the room with Coca-Cola, with Blockbuster, with FedEx. He was deciding all of these major campaigns in a fitted and fresh ones. And I'm like, how do I get that job? So when I sat down with him, I asked. And the first thing I did was decide that there was nothing really prolific I needed to say to this man. I just needed to listen. Have you ever heard about catching an L? What does that mean? Losing. Here, we're going to flip the script and we're going to say that we're going to try and catch 3 L's. In this room, we're going to listen, we're going to learn, and then we can lead. That's very important, because a lot of people spend time talking because they want to try and prove their worth. The most valuable people are the people who can listen. The most valuable people are the people who can internalize the need before they decide what to do. Can a doctor tell you what it is that you need in your body before he gives you some sort of kind of checkup? Can he walk in the door and say, yeah, we're going to have to chop off your legs before he even gives you any kind of test? We have to listen first. We have to internalize that. Wild was created with a young end, and we were teased by the other radio stations. We were called Child 98.7 at the time. They were like, they done brought all these young kids up in here. They don't know anything about radio. They don't know anything about the business. But what we did know was they gave us all these backpacks, t-shirts, and Jeeps, and they said, just go out there and make it happen. And we've had a lot of opportunities to get involved with some great clients and great sponsors and great friends, and we built something that I'm proud of, because 25 years later I'm here. I didn't have a suit then. I was in a space just like you guys are. Now I have a few. Not as nice as y'all got today, by the way. I saw you trying to learn how to tie your ties, and it reminded me when I learned the difference between a half Windsor and a full Windsor from YouTube. Okay, so I'm getting ready to go to an event, and I'm like, man, I want to try and get one of them Puff Daddy type of knots, the big joint. And I'm on YouTube, and I'm trying to figure it out, and they had this man, Ask Jeeves. And Jeeves with the accent is showing the full knot, and I'm like, man, I can't get it. And I'm sitting there, and my date shows up, and she's looking at me like, you are so pitiful. And I'm sitting there just trying to get it. And she can't do it, I can't do it, and I finally got it, and we were able to leave. And just think about the impression she would have had if I would have walked in with the knowledge that you guys have from today. There's a power in knowledge. There's a power in involvement. You guys, this first suit, if it's your first suit, this first step, you coming in this room is a series of firsts that are going to pretty much chart your land. And that's a very, very important place to be in. And I'm proud to be here because, honestly, you guys are, I mean, where's Jakai? Jakai walked over to me, and his first thing he said, first time caller, first time caller. And I'm like, all right, okay. He introduced himself to me, had a firm handshake. He had his eyes locked on mine, so I knew he was about business. Then he said the words, I'm from Brooks to Barlow, and I'm like, okay, now I get it. Because Derek had me come down there and speak at that school, and Davi, who's a co-host of mine, sat over and said, man, you've been cheesing since we got here. Your kids going here, ain't they? And honestly, that was my plan, but they ended up, going another route. But I'm impressed when I see people about their business. And you being in this room means you're about your business. Don't let the people in here, don't let this opportunity escape you. It's not just about a suit. It's not just about commingling with people who are like-minded. It's about learning the lessons from these people. because there's different experiences in here that you can pull from. And my teachers always told me it's a bag of tools. Has anyone, any of your teachers ever mentioned a bag of tools? Who said yes? What is that? You can. There's no wrong answer, so go for it.
I feel like they're kind of using it sarcastically, so I'm not really sure.
Well, I mean, it can be. Yes, sir.
Like the things at your disposal.
The things that
are at your disposal.
At your disposal, absolutely. Go for it.
When I think of a bag of tools, I think of like going back a lot. Going back to what he said, like just different skill sets that you could use when you go somewhere. Like you might go somewhere, you might know how to speak, or you go somewhere else, you might know how to write something.
Absolutely.
Stuff that you learn.
Absolutely. You learn things from school and from your teachers that you sit there and you're like, I don't know if I'm not gonna need this. Why are they teaching us this? Have you ever said that? You're like, why is this on the test? Because you know what? You might not need it now. Throw it in your bag of tools. Miss Charlene Turner. If you don't have a teacher that you can shout out with their full name like that, then you ain't living. Miss Charlene Turner is responsible for me being here, probably me being alive, and me being the man that I am. She was one of the teachers that would show up when I was in the office and got in trouble. When Coach Hayes tried to flunk me and keep me from graduating, she showed up to have a conversation with Coach Hayes. I ain't like Coach Hayes. But she always would look at your face and could tell if you received the message that she gave you. And if you didn't, she's like, just put it in your bag of tools. Because one day, you're going to be faced with something that you're going to need that information. And just like a bow and arrow, you reach back there and you pull out that thing that you didn't think you needed. That lesson that you didn't understand why it was important. But now it's apropos. Now, it's giving you the readiness that gives you strength. That eye contact, that verbal power that we're talking about, that assertion that you know, that confidence that you have in this room, that's something that is going to give you value that's going to be tenfold out there in those streets. But there are also going to be people who are going to be the naysayers. Have you ever told somebody your dreams and they said, man, you ain't going to do that. Man, I'm going to be a doctor. Right. Jakai, what'd you say? You're going to be a paleontologist, right? You ever told anybody that and they're like,
they don't even know what that is.
All right, whatever that is. You know why? It's not for them. It's not their dream. Your dream has to be treated like you treat your J's. How you treat your AirPods. How you treat things that you value. Don't give your dream to just anybody. Don't trust just anybody with your dream. If it's not built for them, they don't know how to receive it. If they don't know how to receive it, they're going to respond in a way that's going to make you think that maybe I'm not on. Maybe I'm not thinking correctly. Maybe I should do something else. He wants to be a paleontologist. Somebody else is like, man, I'm going to give me a good job. Because they don't know what a paleontologist is. So if you hand them that, are they prepared for that? Do they deserve your dream? Should you trust them with your dream? Because it's yours. My dream was to be in a position to get the CD closet key of the radio station. It's a very low rung dream. But that was mine. Because they opened that door one day and I was like, that is every song I have seen in the world. How you get the key to this? He said, you got to be the program director. I'm like, okay. So I went and found the program director. Like, how can I do what you do? He said, well, it's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work. I'm understaffed. I showed up the next day, sat down in front of him, and said, what else can I do? Put me to work. I worked free for 18 months and haven't worked free since. I've had maybe 100 people ask me how I got into the business. How did you, a black man in Tampa, Florida, take over a radio station that is pretty highly rated and also do the radio thing on the air? Sat in front of a man and I asked him what he does and I emulated that. Everybody walks out of that room. None of them ever came back. Except one person. One person by the name of Beata Chahowski. Beata Chahowski was working at Carrabba's. We were eating at Carrabba's. At the time, I was about 400 pounds, so I could kill some Carrabba's. She was the waitress. And she said, "Oh my God, you guys are from Wild? I love that station. How can I get involved with that station? I'm working now, but can I come by the station or whatever? I mean, I can intern, I can do whatever it is. I just really need to find out because I love your station." Gave her a card, said, "Come on by." She walked in my office. We gave her an internship. She was there for about 5 weeks, and everybody in every meeting was like, "Who is the Polish girl that is running around touching everything?" And I'm like, "Oh, she's a hustler." So she came in my room and she said, "How did you get this job? You got plaques on the wall and stuff. How did you get this job?" And I told her the exact story I told the other 99 people. And as I was telling her, Wild Splash, you ever heard of that? We're on the phone, and he's like, "No, I need the contract now because he's gonna sign it because I'm flying out." And I'm like, "All right, well, if you let me hang up, I'll fax it to you." Fax. That's how long ago it was. "I'll fax it to you right now. Just give me the number." "Okay, all right, just give me 5 minutes. And she snatched the paper from me and took off to the fax machine. And he said, "I got it." And I'm like, "Okay." And I looked up like, what just happened? And my boss, who was my mentor, who told me about readiness and strength, is standing on the other side of the door saying, "Hire her." She got $6 an hour, and she became my assistant. She went from intern to assistant. A girl from Seminole who was working at Carrabba's became my assistant. Now, let's move 3 years from there. Readiness is strength. We worked so closely together, we knocked out half of the wall between our offices so we could walk in between the offices. So we wouldn't have to go outside because we were so conjoined together. So I get, just like my man knows about hater blockers because he was one of the people who put hater blockers together. And those all come to me on cassette tapes. I would throw all of them in a box. This hungry girl would listen to everything in that box. And she heard a record called I'm Sprung. Anybody know who makes I'm Sprung? T-Pain. My buddy TJ, who manages T-Pain in Tallahassee, sent the tape to me, but I chucked it in the box because I'm just too busy. She listens to everything in the box and falls in love with that record. She's playing it so much that I'm hearing it all the time and kind of sick of it. I'm interested in it, but I'm sick of it because I'm like, man, why she keep playing the same song? We're supposed to listen to every song. She's playing it so much that now she's answering my calls, and the label people are like, what is that vocoder, like zap kind of thing in the background? What are you listening to? Rick Sackheim from Jive Records. She's like, this is a guy called T-Pain from Tallahassee. It's pretty dope. He's like, send it to me. Then Def Jam's on the phone. What is that you're listening to? She said, this is guy T-Pain. This is pretty good to me. They say it's Zap. I don't know who Zap is. Because she young. She created a bidding war between Def Jam and Jive to sign T-Pain. T-Pain signed with Jive because they're part of Zamba. He's a writer. We all know all the songs he's made, so publishing was very important to him. But he wouldn't have gotten any of the opportunity without her going the extra mile. Where is Beata now? Well, there's a guy named Ryan Seacrest who's at a radio station in Los Angeles who's on KISS 102.7. She is the first female program director in iHeart Los Angeles history of KISS 102.7. She called me and said, I gotta tell you something. And I'm like, what? She said, they're getting ready to name me program director of KISS. And I was like, are you serious? She's like, Orlando, I can't thank you enough. And I'm like, girl, don't thank me. I'm like, because this is about your work, this is about your hustle, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna steal your shine because you put in the work. And she went out there and worked even harder. I mean, older people in here remember Rick Dees back in the day, Disco Duck. He was doing mornings at 102.7 Kiss FM back then. So all those years, never a woman except the woman we found at Corrales. Because of that hustle. Your hustle is your friend. Your hustle will be your back. That will always watch your six. So I want to salute everyone who's in this room and just know that if y'all ever need us back here to holler at you, we will, because this is an impressive room and I'm proud to be here. Thank you for having me.